Most boxers who make millions blow it on mansions, supercars, private jets, and entourages that drain their bank accounts dry. We've seen it 1,000 times. Mike Tyson had Bengal tigers. Floyd Mayweather collects Bugattis like trading cards. Manny Pacquiao owns multiple estates across the Philippines. But not every fighter who gets rich loses their mind. Some millionaire boxers still live like regular people. They drive normal cars, live in modest homes, cook their own meals, and you'd never know they had millions in the bank just by looking at them. These are the boxers who remembered where they came from, who stayed grounded even when the money started pouring in, who chose financial security over Instagram flexing. And their stories prove that you don't need to live like a king just because you can afford to. Terence Crawford, the hometown hero who never left. Terence "Bud" Crawford is one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters in the world. He's the first boxer in the four-belt era to become undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes. He's made tens of millions of dollars. His fight purses have been massive: $25 million for beating Errol Spence Jr., 8 figures for the Canelo fight.
And now, the undisputed welterweight champion of the world!
The man is rich, but if you saw him on the street, you'd never know it. Crawford still lives in Omaha, Nebraska. Not Los Angeles, not Miami, not Las Vegas, where all the big fights happen. Omaha, the same city where he grew up poor, the same streets where he used to get into trouble as a kid. In 2016, after he collected his first $1 million purse fighting Hank Lundy,
but right there he was throwing desperate punches. He was trying to find himself, but when you hurt, you hurt.
Crawford did what most boxers do. He bought a house. Except his house cost $150,000. Not $15 million, $150,000. A modest 4-bedroom home in Omaha. And here's the crazy part. 7 years later, Crawford was still living in that same house, same neighborhood, same community, even after making millions and millions of dollars. He's had thoughts about moving. Of course he has. But his reasoning for staying? If my grandma and my mom don't want to move, then I can't leave them behind. That's not celebrity talk. That's regular person talk. That's someone who values family over status. Crawford eventually built a new home, but guess where? Omaha. Still Omaha. He refuses to abandon his roots. And it's not just where he lives. It's how he lives. Crawford doesn't flaunt his wealth on social media. He's not posting pictures of diamond watches or designer shopping sprees. When asked about his lifestyle, he said something that stuck with me. Plan for your future or live for now. Crawford chose the future. While other fighters are buying their 5th Lamborghini, Crawford's buying apartment buildings. He owns over 40 rental properties in Nebraska. He's built a real estate empire quietly, without bragging, without showing off. The man drives practical cars. No Rolls-Royce, no fleet of exotics. He wears normal clothes. He takes his kids to practice. On weekends, you can see him coaching youth football in Omaha, blending in with all the other dads on the sideline. Nobody's treating him like royalty because he doesn't act like royalty. Crawford lives in a regular neighborhood. He shops at regular stores. He's built a boxing gym for kids in North Omaha, not some fancy celebrity training facility, but a nonprofit gym called B&B Gym, where kids aged 6 to 18 can learn boxing and life skills for free.
B&B on 3. 1, 2, 3. B&B!
He runs the TBC shop, where fans can buy merchandise, but it's not some high-end boutique. It's a local shop in his hometown. When Crawford fought in Las Vegas, reporters expected him to move there. Nope. When he became a world champion, people assumed he'd relocate to Los Angeles or New York. Nope. Omaha. Always Omaha. The man is worth $20 to $25 million, and he still acts like the kid who grew up without money, who remembers what it's like to struggle, who knows that money can disappear as fast as it arrives. Crawford's quote says it all. "I believe real estate is the way for me. They ain't making no more land." While other boxers are leasing Bentleys and buying jewelry, Crawford's thinking long-term. He's thinking generational wealth. He's thinking about what happens when he can't fight anymore. And that mindset, that discipline, that refusal to live like a stereotypical rich athlete, that's what separates Crawford from the Mike Tysons and Evander Holyfields who went broke. Terence Crawford is proof that you can be a multimillionaire world champion and still live like a normal person. Still stay humble. Still remember where you came from. George Foreman, from extravagance to humility. George Foreman's story is one of the most dramatic transformations in boxing history. He went from being a feared heavyweight destroyer to a broke minister living like an average Joe, and then to one of the richest athletes in the world. But it's that middle chapter, when he had nothing and chose humility over wealth, that shows who George Foreman really is. Let's rewind. In the 1970s, Foreman was boxing royalty. He was the heavyweight champion of the world. He destroyed Joe Frazier in 2 rounds to win the title.
It is over. It is over. It is over in the second round.
He was making millions. And like most young athletes who suddenly get rich, Foreman went crazy with his money. Luxury cars, multiple houses, a pet tiger, a pet lion. Yes, George Foreman owned a tiger and a lion. He was living the most extravagant life imaginable. Then in 1974, Muhammad Ali beat him in the Rumble in the Jungle. 3 years later, after losing to Jimmy Young, Foreman retired from boxing.
And look at that crowd get to its feet. Look at Jimmy Young.
And this is where his life changed forever. During that Jimmy Young fight, Foreman had what he describes as a religious experience. He saw a glimpse of death, felt God calling him, and decided to completely transform his life. Foreman became a born-again Christian. And here's what he did next. He got rid of everything. The luxury cars, gone. The multiple houses, sold. The tiger and the lion, rehomed. Foreman walked away from the celebrity lifestyle and started living like a regular person. He became a street preacher. Picture this: George Foreman, former heavyweight champion of the world, standing on street corners in Houston preaching the gospel. No entourage, no bodyguards, just George and his Bible. He co-founded a small church, not some mega church with a TV ministry. A small, humble church in Houston. He lived modestly, focused on his faith, and dedicated his life to helping others. In 1984, he founded the George Foreman Youth and Community Center with his brother Reed. The center gave kids in tough neighborhoods a safe place to play sports, learn discipline, and stay off the streets. Foreman poured his time and what little money he had into that center. For 10 years, Foreman said, "I never even made a fist. I became an evangelist with the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ and never fought anybody." He completely rejected violence, rejected the fame, rejected the lifestyle. He was content being a minister, a husband, a father, and a community leader. But here's where the story gets tough. By 1987, Foreman was broke. Not less rich than before, broke. Flat broke. All the money he'd saved from boxing, about $5 million, was gone. Bad investments, supporting the youth center, trusting the wrong financial managers. Foreman admitted, "I had people I trusted to a fault. They really stole my money." He was on the verge of being homeless. The youth center he'd built was about to close because he couldn't afford to fund it anymore. So at age 38, overweight and out of shape, Foreman made the painful decision to come out of retirement. Not because he wanted fame, not because he missed the spotlight, because he needed money to keep the youth center open. He needed to provide for his family. When he announced his comeback, reporters mocked him. They called it a publicity stunt. They said he was too old, too fat, too washed up. But Foreman didn't care. He fought anyway. And he kept winning. Fight after fight, he proved everyone wrong. He wasn't trying to be flashy. He wasn't trying to be the old George Foreman. He was just trying to survive, to take care of his community, to keep that youth center open. Then in 1994, at age 45, Foreman did the impossible. He knocked out Michael Moorer and became the oldest heavyweight champion in history. The world went crazy. Endorsement deals poured in, and that's when the George Foreman grill happened. Here's the thing though, even after making $138 million from selling the naming rights to the grill, even after becoming worth $300 million, Foreman never forgot those years of humility. He still lives relatively modestly compared to other athletes worth that much. He lives on a ranch, not a mega mansion. He drives practical cars. He focuses on his family. He has 10 children and spends his money taking care of them, not showing off. Foreman often says the grill made him more money than boxing ever did. But what people forget is the decade he spent as a broke minister, living humbly, preaching on street corners, choosing faith over wealth. That's the real George Foreman. That's the man who got rid of his tiger and lion to live like a normal person. That's the man who came back to boxing not for glory, but to keep a youth center open. George Foreman's life proves that humility isn't about how much money you have. It's about who you are when you have nothing. And when Foreman had nothing, he chose to serve others, to live simply, to reject the extravagant lifestyle that had defined his early career. That's a champion. Laila Ali, the daughter of a legend who stays grounded. Laila Ali is boxing royalty. She's the daughter of Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time. She's a 4-time undefeated world champion who retired with a perfect 24-0 record, 21 wins by knockout. She's made millions from boxing, endorsements, TV shows, and her lifestyle brand. She's been on Dancing with the Stars, hosted shows on CBS and OWN, and she's a best-selling author. By all accounts, Laila Ali should be living like Hollywood royalty, but she doesn't. And the reason why comes down to one thing. She remembers what it's like to not have money. Laila grew up as Muhammad Ali's daughter, but her childhood wasn't all glamour. When her mom divorced her dad, the family had to rebuild financially. Laila has talked openly about how her mom invested money for her and her siblings and put it away for their future. That early lesson in saving stuck with her. But when Laila first started making money as a boxer, she made the same mistake a lot of young athletes make. She spent it. When you don't come from money, it's easy to just want to spend it when you finally do get some, Laila admitted in an interview. That's what happened to me. She bought things she didn't need. She lived beyond her means, and she learned the hard way that money disappears fast if you're not careful. But here's what separates Laila from other athletes. She learned from that mistake, and once she did, she completely changed her lifestyle. Here's something most people don't know about Laila Ali. She does her own hair, at home, by herself. For a woman in Hollywood, that's almost unheard of. Most celebrities pay hundreds of dollars for salon visits every week, but not Laila. She styles her own hair and her daughter Sydney's hair. When asked why, she said, "My time is precious. I don't have time to drive an hour to a salon and then sit there for a couple more hours getting my hair done. It's really not that serious or important to me." Think about that. The average cost of a salon visit in Los Angeles is $61. If you go every week, that's $3,172 a year. Laila saves that money. She doesn't need someone else to do what she can do herself. Obviously, if she's doing a photo shoot or appearing on TV, she'll have a professional do her hair and makeup. But for everyday life, she does it herself. That mindset extends to everything Laila does. She doesn't buy designer clothes just to buy them. She doesn't collect luxury cars. She doesn't live in some massive estate. She lives a normal life with her husband, Curtis Conway, a former NFL player, and their 2 kids. She cooks her own meals. She's written a cookbook called Food for Life because she's passionate about healthy eating. And she wanted to show people how to make nutritious comfort food without spending a fortune. Laila runs a website called Laila Ali Lifestyle, where she shares workout routines, recipes, DIY ideas, and family tips. It's not some exclusive membership site charging thousands of dollars. It's a resource for regular people trying to live healthier lives. She sells skincare products and spice blends, but it's all reasonably priced. She's not trying to scam people. She's trying to help them. She's also deeply involved in charity work. Laila is a past president of the Women's Sports Foundation, an organization founded by Billie Jean King that empowers women and girls through sports. She works with Feeding America and the American Heart Association. She's a spokesperson for TIAA's Difference Maker 100 initiative, which honors nonprofit professionals making a difference in their communities. And here's the beautiful part. Laila credits her father for this mindset. Muhammad Ali always told her, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." That quote stuck with her. It shaped how she lives her life. She doesn't see her wealth as something to hoard or show off. She sees it as a responsibility to help others. Laila Ali could easily live like a Hollywood star. She has the money, she has the name recognition, she has the success. But instead, she chooses to live modestly, to save her money, to invest wisely, and to use her platform to help people. She does her own hair. She looks for bargains when shopping. She lives within her means. She remembers her father's lessons about service and humility. In a world where influencers and celebrities flaunt their wealth for likes and followers, Laila Ali stands out as someone who keeps it real. She's proof that you can be successful, wealthy, and famous without losing yourself in the process. Tim Bradley, fighting with $11 in the bank. Tim Bradley's story isn't just about living modestly. It's about fighting for survival when you have almost nothing. Tim Bradley is a former WBO welterweight champion who fought legends like Manny Pacquiao twice.
Mario Lopez mentioned, who would you rather be at the end of that round? A lot of those rounds you would rather have been Manny Pacquiao.
Juan Manuel Marquez and Ruslan Provodnikov. He retired with a record of 33-2-1. He's a world-class boxer who made millions during his career. But before all of that, Bradley was broke. And I mean broke. Let's go back to 2008. Bradley was 24 years old, undefeated and hungry for a title shot. He'd been grinding for years, fighting on small cards, making just enough money to survive. He worked as a dishwasher at Coco's restaurant in La Quinta, California. Then he moved up to being a waiter at Mimi's in Palm Desert. He literally worked his way from the back of the room to the front, as he says. Boxing wasn't paying the bills yet. He was scraping by. Bradley was dating Monica, who was a single mother with 2 kids. She worked as a teacher. Between the two of them, they were barely making ends meet, but they believed in Tim's dream. They believed he could become a champion. So they scraped together every dollar they had to keep Tim's boxing career alive. In 2008, Bradley finally got his shot. He was scheduled to fight for the WBC super lightweight title. The only problem, the fight was in Nottingham, England, against British fighter Junior Witter. In boxing, fighting in your opponent's hometown is almost a guaranteed loss. The judges are biased, the crowd is hostile, and you have to knock the guy out to win. But Bradley didn't care. This was his shot. This was what he'd been working for his entire life. Monica flew to England the day before the fight to support him. Except she almost didn't make it. Her flight was delayed. Tim couldn't reach her. It was past midnight and he was panicking, thinking something terrible had happened. Finally, in the early hours of the morning, Monica showed up. The taxi driver had gotten lost trying to find Tim's hotel. When Monica walked into that hotel room, she did something she had never done before. She looked Tim in the eyes and told him, "You have to win this fight." Tim asked why, and Monica told him the truth. "We only have $11 left in our checking account." $11, that's it. That was everything they had in the world. If Tim lost this fight, they were done. They couldn't keep funding his boxing career. They couldn't keep chasing the dream. This was it. Win or go home broke. So what did Tim Bradley do? He went into that ring in Nottingham, England, in front of a hostile crowd against a hometown fighter with $11 to his name and the weight of his entire future on his shoulders. And he won. He became the WBC super lightweight champion. He took home $52,000, which at the time felt like a fortune. That moment changed Bradley's life. But here's the thing, even after he started making real money, even after he fought Pacquiao twice and earned multi-million-dollar purses, Bradley never forgot what it felt like to have $11 in the bank. He never forgot the struggle. He never forgot washing dishes and waiting tables. Bradley lives modestly. He's not flashy. He's not buying Ferraris or throwing money around. He's invested in his community. After retiring from boxing, he became an ESPN analyst, breaking down fights and sharing his knowledge with fans. He coaches youth sports. He's focused on being a good husband and father. When you see Tim Bradley on the sideline at his daughter's soccer practice, he's not the celebrity. He's just another dad with a backpack, cheering his kid on. Bradley's story is a reminder that success isn't just about talent. It's about hunger. It's about fighting when you have everything to lose. It's about remembering where you came from, even after you've made it. Tim Bradley fought with $11 in his bank account, and he never forgot that feeling. So what separates these boxers from the Mike Tysons and Evander Holyfields who went broke? What separates them from the Floyd Mayweathers who flaunt wealth like it's oxygen? It comes down to a few key things. They remember where they came from. Crawford still lives in Omaha. Bradley never forgot having $11 to his name. Foreman preached on street corners when he was broke. Laila learned from her mistakes early. These fighters didn't erase their past when they got rich. They carried it with them. They used it as motivation to stay grounded. They think long-term. Crawford owns 40 rental properties. Foreman invested in his youth center. Laila saves money and builds her brand carefully. These aren't short-term thinkers. They're not chasing the next dopamine hit from a luxury purchase. They're thinking about what happens when they can't fight anymore. They're thinking about their families, their communities, and their legacies. They value people over possessions. Crawford won't leave Omaha because his grandma and mom are there. Foreman chose to serve his community over living lavishly. Laila follows her father's lesson. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on Earth. These boxers understand that relationships matter more than things. They're disciplined with money. It's easy to blow millions when you're young and successful. It takes discipline to save, to invest, to live below your means. Laila does her own hair. Crawford drives practical cars. Bradley remembers what broke feels like. These are choices, conscious decisions to not live like stereotypical rich athletes. They learned from others' mistakes. These boxers watched Mike Tyson go from $400 million to bankruptcy. They saw Evander Holyfield lose his 109-room mansion. They know the stories of boxers who died, broke and broken, and they decided, that's not going to be me. They learned without having to make the same mistakes themselves. The lesson from these boxers is simple. Wealth doesn't have to change who you are. You can make millions and still live like a normal person. You can be a world champion and still do your own hair, drive a regular car, and live in a modest home. You can achieve extraordinary success without becoming an extraordinary asshole. Terence Crawford proves you can be pound for pound the best in the world and still stay in your hometown. George Foreman proves you can lose everything, choose humility, and still become wealthy again without losing yourself. Laila Ali proves you can be the daughter of the greatest boxer ever and still clip coupons and save money. Tim Bradley proves you can fight your way out of poverty without forgetting what poverty feels like. These boxers are the exception, not the rule. Most fighters who make millions lose it all, but the ones who stay grounded, who remember where they came from, who value people over possessions, who think long-term instead of short-term, those are the ones who not only keep their money but keep their dignity, their character, and their soul. Boxing is a brutal sport. It chews people up and spits them out broke, brain-damaged, and forgotten. But these boxers, they beat the odds. They stayed humble, they stayed smart, and they proved that you don't need to live like a king just because you fight like one.